The Growth Operator Iceberg, 0 to $48 million per year. And I know that that number is very possible with growth operating, as my mentor here, Abdul, hit that at merely 35 years old. And so in the beginning, before I got into this world of the growth operating space, before I understood the iceberg, I was merely a 14-year-old at freaking 252 pounds, a broke university student then at 19. But afterwards, in just one year, I turned that around to 157 pounds and 71 kilograms, and my partners and I making over $37,000 per month, and our clients at $585,000 in revenue that we generate for them, all in 6 months. I'm really 19 years old, and here is all the proof that you want to see with Stripe, with active campaigns, with ad ROAS, with Wise. What else do I need to show you, bro? And therefore, we are allowed to travel all over the world. Here's Will, here's Alex, as you can see, Bali, Singapore, Japan, all the shit that you want to do. And here's the reality. Why did this occur? Because we respected the Growth Operator Iceberg. We understood it. And now why do you need to understand this even on top of that reality? Let's think about it. What if right now, despite you being a beginner growth operator just getting started with this, or despite you being a growth operator who's even doing 10, 20, 30, or 100K per month, what if I gave you the entire path of your life in a very hyper clear way, not just on pretty much every single little intricate action that you will take, but I'm literally going to give you your entire career path. But also, at each step, tons of people struggle to not just get to that 10K mark, but then after the 10K mark, to get to the 20K, to the 100K, and even much further. Because they don't have the proper motivation to push them up, and motivation in a different way than you truly understand. So today, I'm basically also going to be giving you what are called motivator layers of the Growth Operator Iceberg, where I'm going to just boost you to the belief that will basically give you unwavering, flowing motivation. So if today I give you a direct path straight to the end of your career, basically till you're 80, 120 years old, however this technology increases to increase our lives. And I'm on top of that going to give you the Mario Superstar, you know, that type of shit that's going to get you cracked out and super excited to pursue full success. Don't you think that some kind of path like that will literally 10, 20x the time saved, and therefore 10, 20x the money that you'll make by sitting through this maybe little 30 or hour, minute long or so video? Or instead, you could be a little monkey and click on the videos over here. They'll do the opposite and suck your time away. Maybe that's why you're still not making the amount that you believe, and I know that you believe that you can. So let's full screen that button right there, and let's get right into this, starting with the growth operator layers, layer 0. This is where you begin with the self-improvement. You watched Hamza, you probably watched Iman Gadzhi, Better Ideas, Andrew Tate, all these different YouTubers, dieting, working out, and for me personally, I watched a lot of productivity YouTube, specifically Leon Hendricks, whom he got a lot of his philosophies from Sam Ovens. But the reality of that is that during that level of the growth operator layer, simultaneously the motivator layer also rises with layer 0 of you in your relationships. You probably got into that self-help sort of space because you felt that you did not get the competency that you deserved with your friends, or the competency that you want to show with girls. Maybe you're bullied by friends, maybe you were a little fat, maybe you were skinny, and maybe your family was poor. And the reality for me was that I had 3 really close friends in my elementary school, and there I wasn't good after I went into, and so from that kind of, I guess you could call it trauma or pain or whatever, and simultaneously being fat then, as you saw in the picture above, and really liking this one girl, that led me to pain to then go into that self-improvement shit. But it's great, I love it, because now I'm the way I am. It's awesome. Anyway, then the next layer is the business models that you've tried. Afterwards, now that you self-improved, you start getting into maybe reselling, dropshipping, affiliate marketing, day trading, crypto, NFTs, SMA, TikTok affiliate, whatever, all these different business models at layer 1 next. And for me personally, just so you guys want to know my story, it was sneaker reselling, then yard sale reselling, dropshipping, crypto, YouTube, SMA, then finally growth operating. A lot of retarded shit I was. And so from there, from these old business models, you gain skill sets, which is awesome. It's not a waste of time because the reality is that then you're able to bring that into growth operating. And so a lot of the paths, and this is where the real sauce comes in, layer 2. Because you begin to see the paths and why God or so the universe or whatever you believe in caused you to do those things and business models you did before. It was for growth operating. Here's why. You maybe did nothing yet, you're a beginner, going to growth operating, that's fine. But most likely, you may have been an appointment setter, then to a closer, then to a sales manager, and now trying to do growth operating. Or maybe you had an SMA, like a content agency, email agency, lead gen agency, appointment agency, TikTok, Facebook, whatever agency into growth operating. Or maybe you were in the info space, you were an employee at some coaching business, and then now you're trying to get into growth operating. Or maybe you took the copywriter route, then into growth operating, or maybe you're a drop shipper going into growth operating. So now then, let's roll into some tangible examples of this, starting with obviously, me right here, where, I already heard the story, right? Cigarette selling, blah, 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 all these different things, and then into growth operating. But my business partner, Will, you haven't heard this story yet. It's pretty interesting stuff. So he started with drop shipping, roughly when he was around 17. Then he went into actually buying info products to learn more about drop shipping, and he realized a gap in the market. Because with drop shipping, what he was using was called direct response copywriting to make people take action in order to purchase a product from Alibaba or all those different places. And so he realized that people in the info products space were not utilizing this. And so then he went to other creators and coaches, and he was like, damn, why don't you guys use this? Because your guys' direct response copywriting sucks. And beautifully, that worked out, as he's studied a lot of info products from the buying of dropshipping info products and realizing and learning direct response copywriting from the dropshipping products. And now he's allowed to growth operate, and then a lot of what he does in our agency is the team management and the copywriting stuff. So great. And now with Alex, my other beautiful partner, he does the tech side of it. And so he did like the dropshipping stuff and the SMA. And then from there, he went into growth operating as well. A whole nother story. I'll talk about that in another time. But a few other examples so you guys really get this sort of pattern recognition of the successful stories in the space, the top growth operators. And then from there, you could emulate that path, that layer down to the iceberg. Once again, starting with Su Wei, where he was an appointment setter, then to a closer, right? That story, this path here above of this one. Being a appointment setter, then to a closer, then to a sales manager, then to a growth operator. And also Yusuf in the space, he did a content agency, then to a growth operator. Pierre from SMA to growth operating. Eddie Cumberbatch from Discord community management to SMA to growth operating. And Minx and Fahad recently talked about here on Alex Hermosi's freaking channel. There's a whole story. And I went into this deeply because I actually know them personally. Them selling stuff at school, then reselling stuff on eBay, then from their drop shipping, Amazon FBA, TikTok organic agency to TikTok ads agency, then to finally growth operating for Eddie Abu, who has 3.9 million followers, I think, on Instagram. And so you realize that there's this very clear path that these growth operators go on. But now at this point, this is where layer 1 then of the motivator layers comes in. And this is when you are probably maybe 18 or 19. And you start realizing that, oh shoot, I have to make money now. And I have to survive, I have to pay for my food. And so that's kind of what it goes down to, the food and the shelter and maybe moving to Thailand or Bali like I did. And then from there, that's when layer 3 comes in. Interesting layer where you're then becoming a case study grinder growth operator. Now we're getting really deep into the iceberg. Let's get it. Where you are an individual now that has a few skill sets from your prior businesses. Now you need to transfer that into growth operating. However, you are in the hardest step, where there's no real way to prove your worth because you don't have a case study yet. Hence, this is the phase where you're outreaching and trying to scrape up some type of creator, good or bad, so that you can make them some amount of money to call them your case study. which is where roughly you're making around $0 to $10,000 per month. And some examples of this are the 2,166 of you guys of our brotherhood community in the Tim Yoon Growth Operator Haven, which will soon rebrand to Operator Incubator. But get excited for that. And so at this point still, you guys are motivated by these more smaller things as you're probably younger at this point. But the next realization is this. And this is probably where you guys are at right now, the majority of who is watching this. But the reality is that once you start getting to level 4, level 5 is where shit gets fun. Because then you become a Canon growth operator. At this point, you have, for the first time, scaled a creator to $10,000 to $20,000 in your first launch. And you're now in the phase where you know how much money you can make per launch and are armed with a solid case study. And therefore, you can go to different creators to become the Canon growth operator, boom, 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 launching multiple info missiles until the reality, boom, boom, something happens here. But before that, let's get to the examples of this. Like Manish, who's barely 19 right now. And he went from 1 to 7K launching creators, one in India and one now in the US market. And he's doing 7K per month already. Very proud of my guy. And also Seth here, absolutely smashed him with the mindset, Nando. But with the creators he's working with, he recently scaled a fitness creator all the way to $12,000 in the first launch. And that's within a 1-week time frame. So I guess technically a month, but if you do that 4 times, what is that? 12 times 4, $48,000 a fucking month, bro. Stop cursing. Also, Andre here, who we scaled for him and his creator to $18,000 per month in revenue, dude. Oh my God. And he's brother's aiming to hit 100K per month in revenue by the end of quarter 2. And also when we began scaling Favion with me and Will, that was a lot more on Will's side, but albeit. And the reality of that is where layer 4 then becomes interesting, where this growth operator launching and launching and launching these creators. But then the reality is this. And basically what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to skip you through all the damn levels of you needing to realize this shit and just showing you, hey, this is exactly what you're going to learn. This is all the lessons you're going to learn. Why don't you just skip to the fucking end? Great. Let's just throw you all the way down here. But anyway, at layer 5, you're an agency growth operator now. Because you realize the problem with your business being that every single time you launch with a creator, there's not much of a repeatable system. You have, and it's an absolute mess. So this is where you're roughly doing around 50 to 100K per month. Usually this is when the growth operators realize it, but I just made you realize it right now at whatever revenue amount you are doing. So the reality is, this is where it's very interesting. You then create a system leaning towards more of the one side or the other, being a sales system specified growth operating agency, being this is where the high ticket growth operating term comes from, or an email copywriting system agency with the extras, or an ads extras. And let me do a quick little side quest to explain what I'm talking about here exactly. Because the reality with growth operating is this. All businesses have MSPO, marketing, sales, product, and operations, but the reality is that in growth operating, you're benefited greatly because the creator has already done the hardest part for you. They've opened the floodgates on the funnel because they have done the marketing for you. Boom! So there's like water coming in here now. But the reality is that now you must go in there and do sales. And so how will you do sales for the creator? Not just the aspect of talking sales calls, but also all the elements within the sales process, the sales system. And that is like setters, closers, the actual funnel of it, the email edition of it, the launch, the offer systems, all those different things. And so the reality is that how can you create a process that will do this in the most optimal way plausible is exactly what we're talking about here. And so I know some growth operators who specify in the high ticket growth operating space, and this is also one we really, really enjoy, with setters and closers and sales SOPs that the growth operator adds to the creator or coach's business, including the script, including the booking rate increasing service, as well as show up rate increasing situation. And this is where you add extras, such as a CRM edition, like Go High Level. I'll talk about Go High Level in a little bit if you don't know what that is. Also, funnel architecture re-optimization, the landing page re-optimization, and offer re-optimization. And just a little quick side thing for those of you who are keeping up. All this stuff I'll be talking about on a service delivery course real soon. Little gift for you guys there. Maybe 6 hours, who knows? But anyway, the reality of that is, then from there, you move on to the email copywriting system space, where growth operators are also kind of doing this agency now, where they specify with providing copywriters and email sequence nurture implementations for the creator. And if you don't know what that is, just do a little quick search on YouTube. And in addition, once again, the similar extras align, where you're doing the CRM edition, the funnel architecture, and blah, blah, I already said above. And so the reality is this. There's a sales, and you go down, and there's like sales systems, and there's email, and there's ads. And so you end up specializing as an agency in one of these three mediums. Why'd I say it like that? And then from there, you become somebody who does ads. Ads mostly. And I met some guy in the French market doing this, or growth operator. I think he does 22K, he's like 19. And mostly what they do is, yes, the creator has the marketing side, but the reality is if these ads growth operators, they ran an SMA before and they're very cracked at ads. And so they can basically take the marketing and also add another marketing channel by adding ads, and then funnel that into a sales process as well, which they have it optimized, and yeah, funnel it down from there. And so then what you do is you add meta ads or YouTube ads or the creative, obviously, side of that, body copy, media, kind of being a traditional SMA, but also adding all the extra stuff that the growth operator does. And once again, the same exact similar extras, what the actual crappy crap is going on. And so examples of these, I think you'll find really helpful. Oops, don't want to reveal that. Pull my pants down a little too fast there. With sales, that's a lot what Yusuf talks about. With the growth operator sales offer specifically, where you add the closer, or maybe as a growth operator, you close yourself, and specifying in the height ticket sector without adding the low ticket. We take a more holistic approach, but so be it. Suwei, a few months ago, this is what he was doing. As he went through the story of being a setter to a closer to a sales manager and a growth operator, and I know this next part because he literally directly told me, because we know each other, good friend of mine. He has a network then as he scaled up to being the setter, then to the closer, then to the sales manager, then to the growth operator. And so what he would do, or what he did as a growth operator back then, was adding his network of setters and closers to the creator's business, as well as implementing systems further into the creator's info product business to scale the sales part as well. Interesting system there. And so a lot of what we do a few months ago back, now we go more of a holistic approach, but our biggest focus, a lot of what we did was this email side, where I would implement a lot of the content side. I'll be the main face talking with the creator, as I was a creator in my past and I really understand how creators think and work. And Will did a lot of the direct response copywriting side with the emails and funnel architecture and the overall business side of it, and managing our team. And finally with Alex on the tech side, with Go High Level, with the finance stuff, and all those different mediums. And so the reality of that is there was a high leverage focus on emails though, because it was a very easy service to add to these creators. And then we were able to scale, obviously, to this high ticket stuff afterwards there. But just giving you a vision on where our agency kind of was before, so that you could have that, oh, it went from this to this to this. Anyway, and then from there into ads. Now, both these kids are anonymous, but if you know fucking ads, it's incredibly powerful because you're literally adding another channel. Being one of my anonymous friends who does around $52,000 a month, dude. And a few months ago, this was what he really specialized in. Now, really doesn't do this as much as you'll see in layer 6, 7, and 8. But what he mainly did for the crypto coach that I work with was he did Facebook ads, he created the funnel, and at this point he didn't add the sales team yet because mostly he was just doing the ads. He also came from a drop shipping background. Hope to do a podcast with him soon. Look out for that. But the reality of that was, yeah, he did that ads side, kind of adding the marketing, and then also adding that little funnel side. And another little interesting tidbit was a 16-year-old I know. And he works with fitness creators, and he's doing $72K a month now. I think he's roughly 17. When I was talking to him, he was 16. The thing was, he went for a lot more creators at once, and then he would add Facebook ads and a funnel for those fitness creators on Instagram. So interesting stuff. A lot of ways to make a unique offer out there. These are just 3, man. Just 3. Be smart with it, and you'll kill it. Now, at this point though, I do want to hop over to the next layer of the motivators layer, because here there's an interesting take that occurs. As we scale up to this point, and I know for a fact, as we scaled up to that amount of, finances, we realize that now I'm eating good, I'm fine, it's not for survival. I'm in Bali, I'm eating steak and every day, it's all chilling. But the reality of that is, you now want to not just scrape by, but climb to the top of the totem pole in your space. Have a lot of women, as back in the tribal days was occurring, get really deep into the biohacking stuff, get super jacked, and you try to it's an expression of the stuff you lacked before. The friendship you lacked, maybe the relationships you lacked, maybe the health that you lacked before, that you want to show to others. And so the business goes aside, and you put a lot of your emphasis on the motivation on buying more, trying to become more of status. And the reality is, this also is short-lived, as I'll explain how to emit away from that and what exact brain set to download into your brain so that you can just go straight to never falling into the trap of being unmotivated and looking for purpose in life, because that's the number one thing that stops you actually just stopping the business. It's not little tactics that you don't lose. It's just quitting the business. But anyway, that then moves us to layer 6 of the Growth Operator Iceberg, icicle, ice cream, whatever you want to call it, which is then you become the partner growth operator. Interesting stuff here, because as you scale more into the specified service, and this is what we realized, and this is what all these other people realize, as I'll show you in the examples below. The reality is that in order to get true client results, it's not about fixing their sales system, email system, or ads system, but it's about helping the entirety of the business in a holistic view. Simultaneously, you maybe find one creator you genuinely see a massive vision with, where you can see their offer, or more precisely, the overall business scale to $1 million a month, even up to 40 million a month, 40 million a year. Therefore, you decide to partner up with the creator of that offer, hence becoming a partner growth operator. And this is where roughly you can start doing around $100,000 to $250,000 per month. And just to give you some examples, us specifically partnering with our UGC creator, and the actual true vision that we see now is with this offer, with Operator Incubator, and us helping the growth operators with how much we've put in the work with our agency. And so kind of me being the creator, although I guess I'm growth operating as well, and Will and Alex being the growth operators of our company as well. And in the space also with Pierre, mainly focusing a lot of his energy on Caprice these days. And so adding the growth operator community, creating upsells to a high-ticket mastermind, adding the sales systems, what not. Manx and Fahad, they kind of just got right into this vehicle, layer 6, of going right in with Eddie Abu. And Manx mainly focusing on the content side, and Fahad focusing on the operations side. And finally, my anonymous friend over here at 20, the Australian one, with the crypto coach earlier, as you saw over here, this guy, he does around 16.66% of that company rev share, and that's how he makes that 52K a month. And at this point now, he's adding sales systems for them, essentially adding the other M and then the S side as well, as he added the ads and now touching upon helping sales, because building a business is about helping the holistic view of the business. It's not about just adding, more leads up here, or adding, email. Doesn't matter. And crazy case study here. One of my other anonymous friends, 20 years old, dude, Slovakian, he scaled another anonymous YouTuber with 1.82 million subscribers, and they were able to do $1.2 million in 2 weeks, cash collected. I'll try to get this guy on a podcast for you guys real soon. Operator Incubator podcast coming soon. But then afterwards, that is when layer 7 of the Growth Operator Ladios come in. Oopsies. Growth Operator Ladios come in. Because then you become the creator Growth Operator. Interesting. What is this? Because the reality is, as you scale the creator, you decide to commit to when you want to scale ads. They want how they don't want to be too salesy. Or when they want to scale a sales team, I say, that's too much pressure for me. Or when you want to add emails for them, they ask, will it even work? And overall, they just have a lot of trash limiting beliefs oftentimes. You realize, wait, doesn't it make more sense to cut the middleman out of the picture and instead become the creator yourself? This is where the real money comes in. And I'm going to start dropping some crazy examples and your minds will start being exploded. Where you'll be able to make around $250,000 to even $4.5 million a month. And this is us now with Operator Incubator, where we realize the way to do it, just simply, is to cut out the middleman. And number 2, also because it's just higher leverage, because we own the entire thing. And so that is us with that, helping other growth operators. With Sue also doing this, oopsies, where he used to add the sales systems with the coaches, but now he goes and he coaches other coaches. It's almost an info offer, coaching the coaches, adding the systems for them directly, but also giving them a platform to communicate with on school and a community and courses and coaching, just like SamEvansConsulting.com or Charlie Morgan with Easy Grow. Speaking of which, I will talk about them down here soon. And this is where Alex Hormozi starts coming in, because this is exactly what he did. Because fundamentally, what is the growth operating space? Or what is that business? It's a service business. And so this is the marketer's journey, brother. As you become more and more of the growth operator, you learn the marketing skill sets. You learn the MSP, all the business skill sets. And then you say, hey, I can just do it myself. Just as with Alex Hormozi does with Gym Launch, where he coaches other gyms how to scale their gym business by adding ads systems, by adding sales systems. And with that business, Alex Hormozi grew that to $4.4 million per month in their best month. Goddamn! $40 million per year in revenue. And so same exact thing Alex is doing here with the service business, with the gym business, but now then taking that into the coaching business. And same exact thing with Alex Becker. Way back in the day, the main thing was not SMA, social media marketing agency, but more like SEOA, I guess, social or search engine optimization agency, where Alex Becker started that first, started the agency, and then he started teaching people how to do that agency. Specifically, then he moved on then to YouTube ads. And so also becoming the creator after the service business. Sam Ovens, he used to have an agency, then moved on over to consulting.com and a lot of reiterations in between, all the way to consulting.com, where he now coaches other coaches, and soon he has exited down here over to layer V2 or V1. Who knows? Where with that one offer though, they were able to do $3.3 million per month in their best month and around roughly $33 million per year with consulting.com. And with Charlie Morgan with Easy Grow at $1.2 million per month, coaching other creators and agency owners as well. And finally, Abdul, a mentor here, where he did this with an SMMA offer, and he was the face of it. He was the creator of it, and he made $1.7 million per month in their best month, man. And so the reality is you now become that creator at this level 7. And at this point, this is where like the money just kind of becomes irrelevant, and you become super damn wealthy. And now you have problems about realizing that, damn, maybe buying all this stupid stuff does not make me happy. And so what I've been able to do is I studied how the top people go about doing it. And I studied the philosophy so that I don't make the mistakes of buying a bunch of stupid stuff, living in a bigger box, or living in Lamborghinis. And so at layer 3 of the motivations layer, you finally, once going through all the entrepreneur stuff and overindulging in this health, wealth, relationship stuff, you realize, wait, the true happiness there was when I did not have these big boxes or shinier objects overall. It was because I was now held down by the stuff. The stuff owned me. I did not own the stuff. The stuff owned me. And the reality is, why does any of this stuff matter in the first place if in 10,000 years it'll just all go to dust? And so you realize the way to be happy, the way to be motivated to work is to be free. Is to get rid of all your stuff and go to a beach in Thailand and just try to make some passive income and be free. But soon, in layer 4, we'll realize that the ultimate motivator is not that. But before that, we must then talk about layer 8, where the money then just becomes kind of absurd. Now, this is, at this point, you're probably maybe 20 or 30. 20 or 30, upwards of, when this ends, you could be 35 or 40. This is roughly the path that even I plan to take for my entire life. But then afterwards, there's some other time and stuff that you want to do with your life. As you move forward in life, as you move forward in the business space, you obviously want to make more money, and I'll explain why you want to do that over here with the next motivator. But the reality is, as you want to make more money, the only way to do that is to utilize leverage in the form that you guys probably do not understand yet. So let me explain it to you in this very unique way. So credit to Naval Ravikant for this one. But back in the day, people were able to leverage collaboration, being they had slaves back in Egypt. There's like this, they're building the pyramid like this. And then afterwards, people realized that you can leverage capital, such as the Warren Buffetts or the Charlie Mungers or the people that would invest even during the British spice trade, where they would put in money into the ships and they'll go off and make money for them. Then in the modern ages, during the 2000s, that is when code came and people began to utilize creating one bit of software that they could spread to millions and billions of people, such as Miro that I'm using here, or Notion that I'm using here, or YouTube that I'm utilizing here. And finally, then from there, that moved on to content recently, in the past maybe 20, 30 years, where right now I am creating a relationship with you, leveraged. I don't need to talk to you, but you are now my friend. And so that's how this very interestingly works. And so the reality is, as you move forward and up in the business, you want to make sure that for what you put in, you get out an obscene amount back. Versus you want to pull this kind of lever, not this kind of lever, where you put a lot in, and still will barely kind of go up here. You want to make it go boom, all the way up here. And so the reality is, you have to use all 4 C's of leverage, C, at the highest points of business. And so, at this point, you now most likely have surpassed the usual threshold of what a creator info products business can scale up to. Maybe $10 million in revenue per year, up to $40 million per year as a creator growth operator. And with the decision-making framework, you decide that a 5-year long-term forecast of rather jumping into a new vehicle, a new business, into maybe, and this is my future, into an education or creator economy investment firm, venture capital, venture studio, private equity, is a much higher ROI in the future than sticking to just one single offer at that amount. And so at this point now, you are scaling to mega billions. This is the type of vehicles that you get into if you want to become a billionaire, where you go from the 4.5 million a month to 100 million a month to 200 million a month and infinity per month. And some examples of people that are doing this now are like Charlie Morgan, who after scaling Easy Grow, he plans now to add more creators into his portfolio of companies and scale them. He's currently looking at the real estate niche. Heard from a podcast. And now Alex Jonesy also, after scaling Gym Launch, because fundamentally it's a coaching business, as I explained earlier, for the gyms, he invested into other businesses with acquisition.com, and he invests also into info businesses. So super interesting plays there. And finally, Abdul as well. Check out the podcast if you have no clue what I'm referring to. This is basically the only podcast in the entirety of YouTube that talks about this kind of stuff, which is Abdul's SMA offer. Then he scaled that to 1.7 million, his Amazon FBA FR Offer also to 1.7, or I think that was 1.8 million, Airbnb to 1.6, and Kindle to 2.2 million per month. All those added in his portfolio. So you become basically a venture studio at that point, and pretty much a traditional investor at that point. Like Warren Buffett, like Charlie Munger, Berkshire Hathaway, utilizing now content as the creator, capital, collaboration, but not the code aspect yet, which is where we'll get that into layer 8, V2. But even before that, let me touch upon now the reality that this sort of wealth brings in your path of a growth operator, in your Mario path, which is that freedom does not entice you anymore. You realize that the point of freedom is pointless because in the beginning, what you enjoyed was that purpose-driven action, was the pursuit of the business, pursuit of the action, and pursuit of becoming the person that can run a multi-billion-dollar company. And so you now question, what is the purpose of my life? Again, this was where, for a while, I studied, for me personally, the best entrepreneurs in the world, the conquerors, athletes, chefs, scientists, astronauts, actors, because I questioned this a little early on as I'm a bit more of an introspective person. And I realized that the ultimate core principles that they had that kept them motivated were this. First, beginning that they genuinely loved humanity. And their business was now for others. Look at Alex looking at the core principles. And they also love to learn. It's a pursuit in the love of the learning of the actual thing. It's with one core vision that they pursue their mission. It's for, once again, the love of the thing, and finally, in the love, and this is my passion, in the love of improving myself, in the self-progress that you see. And so Alex Hormozi, I'll just give you a few examples here, Charlie Morgan, they talk about how business education is their mission in life. Very respectable, very awesome. And this is like one example in the entire tech space, but a lot of others there sure have similar things, which Elon Musk here, he always says, to save humanity. And it sounds like marketing trash, but I genuinely think he does care about this. Because if you want to be pushing yourself at that level as Elon Musk is, man, he must be in a lot of pain. But the reality is for him, with Twitter, he connects it to, saving humanity from blocking of the freedom of speech, for the freedom of speech. From Mars, to save humanity once the Earth dies with spaceships. SpaceX, that's the company. With Tesla, to save humanity from the Earth dying with the electric cars. With Neuralink, to save humanity from the disabilities. And so, at this level now, this is where you truly transcend into level 4, into the deepest depths of the Growth Operator Iceberg, where you now become somebody who can. Somebody who genuinely sticks at this for a long time. Because once again, you only lose if you stop, but you only win if you continue. But that then finally brings me to layer 8 V2, but not finally yet because I left the best for last. Because now you become from the investor, maybe the investor is one route you can take. The other one, that's why it's V1, right? Or V2. Maybe you jump from layer 7 all the way to layer 8. V2, which is in becoming a tech founder, and this is very, very, very difficult. But since you understand this pyramid right here, you must understand the reasoning why they do this, which is also the same rationale with the leveraging of capital, but now instead with code. Because rather, this is where you decide as a pro marketing and sales individual that you want to now hone in on everything else. Because as a growth operator, what you hone in on is the marketing and the sales. But as a now individual who is in the tech space, you must now very much hone in on product and operations. Very respectable people here. They hone in on everything, becoming full stack. And it's extremely hard because basically, this you must go back down to dropping your ego, being willing to drop your income, and take entirely beginner's mindset once again in learning how to code, plus learning how to manage an engineering team, software, and utilize capital stacked from your cash flow from info businesses, as info businesses are, oh my gosh, beautiful for cash flow. And then you risk it even bigger on a tech company. However, this later pays fat dividends as you gain a unique skill set as an entrepreneur to where eventually you plan to scale another tech company or you plan to invest like venture capital or private equity at this point. Then you have a deadly combo of being both good at marketing and sales and tech, skill sets in investing, to advise into higher leverage technology companies and make greater returns than if you were just to invest in an education company. As the principle is, most investors invest into the companies that they understand. Hence, if you have no technology, then you have a higher knowledge base, and therefore you know how to invest in those companies, and therefore you can invest in those companies. You have higher leverage to pull on. And so that is the multi-wealth billionaires, where you get into utilizing code, content, capital at the highest level, collaboration. And who are the people that are doing this? The wealthiest, like Facebook, Google. This is how you actually become the wealthiest company. Now you truly understand why the companies that are the wealthiest are the wealthiest. And this is the play Sam Evans is making right now with school. This is why. Alex Becker with Hyros. Alex Hormozi with Alan that he did before, although that kind of dropped off, rest in peace. Abdul Faroqi with Max AI that he's doing. And that is a reality. Where with school, you're building now a tech company like a Facebook or a Google. The platform, the base that everyone stands on, this is getting some really high level stuff. So if you're still here with me, I mean, I really condemn you. I really respect you for not clicking on these little videos over here. You're one type of a man or woman. And so you stand on this base as you have this platform. And that's why you build school or Hyros or Allen or different things like that. If you really don't know what it is, what these are, look them up. You probably know school, but you probably don't know Hyros. So look it up. But that is exactly what the entire tech world does. Well, look at Elon Musk investing into Neuralink, SpaceX, into Twitter, all those different companies. Why? To own the highest leverage things. It fundamentally makes sense. Chamath Palihapitiya with the AI that he's investing into now, Naval Ravikant into his investments as well, becoming a venture firm, because you understand the tech space and marketing and sales and all of that jazz. And so that is really the reality of that. And so now, as you have basically, I've given you the entire path of your life. You should see very clearly now, oh wow, this is exactly what I need to do, boom, 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 boom. And yeah, you're just chilling. And so eventually, the reality is this though. If the highest leverage cash flow business is an info products business, what better way than to get into the info space than to Growth Operator? Where for the first time ever, you have the chance to get into the info space without having to scale another business, becoming super fit, or without needing to have some super successful marriage. Because back then, the creators, you need to be credible, and then you can start that info business to teach other people how you got to your X desired result. But as a growth operator, it's the first time where you don't need to do that. You can just go right into the info space. How lucky are you to be in this type of era? So it's literally the fastest path in history that you have been able to get to the vehicle that will make you the richest, the fastest. It's the fastest way to get to that vehicle. And so here is the very step-by-step action plan that you can do now, realizing that you are now fully in on growth operating. And so I have two presents that I want to leave with you. I want to give you a little super tiny chance to move fast up the ranks of the iceberg. To people who are already in those depths, where you can basically get a little elevator. I'll build you a little elevator, poop down all the way to these levels right here as we've achieved. And eventually, as I achieve down here, you can be connected to me so that I can give you the sauce down here as well. By our entirely private mentorship operator incubator, you get access to us basically plugging and playing our systems for a growth operating agency. I'm basically partnering up with you one-on-one to scale you with your creator past easily $10,000 to $50,000 a month. And we're just starting out in our little beta launch, but we already have all the case studies above and all these guys right here with freaking Daniel and Mark and all these different friends and people. And so if you want to talk to me personally, click the link down below and we'll be chatting real soon. But the second gift is, if you do want access to this doc, and all the other resources that I talk about in my YouTube channel. Over here, like all these untapped niches, everything in my school group, my entirely free school group, you can have for free. And check out all the old videos over here if you have not watched them yet. I mean, the sauce is incredible. People are freaking nutting over this. And so if you want those resources, then check the description down below. There's a link to join the school group. Join us, brothers. Objectively the best growth operating community in the world. And I'll see you real soon inside. Peace.